Have you ever had an impossible dream? Yeah. Let's think back to 1971. Anybody remember 1971? You weren't there. Oh, sorry. That's a different story. Anyway, a little airline was just getting its wings, starting up in Dallas, Texas, and they'd been wading through 4 years of lawsuits just to be able to get these 3 cities in Texas routes for that. The idea arrived over cocktails and was memorialized on a cocktail napkin. Those are the 3 cities. They started with 4 airplanes and 3 cities and a whole lot of love. Of course, we're talking about Southwest Airlines. And it wasn't long, though, after they got started until they ran into some financial difficulties. And they realized that the only way they could keep themselves afloat was to sell one of their 4 airplanes. But in doing so, they had to keep their revenues up that 25% of lost planes. So how are they going to do that? Well, you may have heard, if you remember, I don't know if they're still doing it, but they used to have the 20-minute turnaround. The Southwest was known that once the jetway pulled up and opened on the plane, that they would turn that plane around in 20 minutes and be off the jetway again. I lived in the Dallas area back in the late 70s, early 80s, and I flew that little airline a couple of times, and they really did have a 20-minute turn. People would time it on their watch just to prove that they were doing it. And so it transformed the airline industry. The moral of this startup story is that their success came through adversity. It came through adversity. 4 years of legal challenge. What if they'd have stopped at year 3? Or what if they'd have been facing the financial challenges and said, oh, well, let's gut it out and let's see what we can do. It'll turn around surely, and gone completely bankrupt and not been able to recover? What if they'd have said, well, we can't do 20 minutes, maybe we'll do 30 minutes. And it all would have been different. But through adversity and through their perseverance, the rest of the story for Southwest Airlines, of course, is history. Most of us have probably flown that airline at one time or the other in our lives. So today my talk is Setbacks are Setups. Setbacks are setups. And we're continuing our Living Abundantly series for the month of October. We always talk about prosperity and abundance for October around here. And if you've been on planet Earth for a while, you've probably realized that life doesn't always go your way. Am I alone in that? Yeah. Things like a pandemic show up and we go, what do I do with this? What do I do with this? Our whole world got shaken up and spun around and dumped out and all sorts of stuff. It's been harrowing. I can't even say that word this morning, to say the least. But every time something like that happens in our life, we are faced with the choice of how we will interpret it. What does it mean? How do we interpret it? Do you know what the word problem translates into in the Arabic language? It translates into another view. Another view. And if you think about that perspective, when we have problems, we go into a certain mode of our brain activity in solving that problem. It's a problem. But if we go into a perspective of another view, how can I look at this differently? How could this be here for me? How can I see it differently? We reframe it. We think about it differently. We talk about it differently. And we act differently about it. We see a different future for ourselves. I invite you to think about an apparent setback in your life. Maybe it's something that you regretted. Maybe it's something that you resisted. Something you just didn't like, don't like. Maybe you're in it right now. Maybe it's just, I don't like that. Was that old commercial? I don't like that, Dolly. So, have you ever had something like that happen, but then over time, in the future, you look back at it? Maybe now you can look back at events in your life and go, I am so glad that happened, That Garth Brooks song, Thank God for Unanswered Prayers, right? That's my rearview mirror prayer sometimes, is thank you, God, for not letting me have my way, for you being so much smarter than me and not letting that happen, right? Even though I was praying so hard for it. Realizing that losing that job was the best thing that happened to launch the true career that I had. Breaking off that relationship was the best thing that happened to move me into the next area of life, whatever it might be. Can you see how a setback turned out to be a setup for you for your good to arrive? And that's what we're talking about today. If you look at the evolutionary track of life, most of life has evolved through the need to adapt to a change or a challenge, some form of adaptation. Einstein, of course, tells us that we never can solve a problem from the same level of consciousness that created it. If we were stuck in the same level of consciousness that created this mess, we have to get above it to be able to see clearly enough to find a solution, to find the answer that we need, moving to higher ground. And welcome to the science of mind, because the science of mind teaches principles, practices, provides tools and spiritual practices and ways that as spiritual beings, we can find a spiritual solution to our troubles, if you will. I think that the most powerful creative tool that we have available to us is our imagination. I'm going to invite you right now to think of an elephant. Anybody not seen an elephant? Okay, so we know what an elephant looks like. They're big. They have big ears. They have a long trunk, little tail, big feet, big giant toenails. Got it? Elephant. There's not an elephant in the room. There's probably not an elephant in Scottsdale. But there's an elephant in your minds. Because of the power of your imagination, you can see an elephant in your mind. That's the beauty and the power of our imaginations. We can use this power of thought and imagining to plant these seeds into the universal creative soil to bring to us that which we desire, the desires that have been placed on our heart by the divine, to express more of itself through us as us. It's kind of a cool system if you think about it, the way the whole thing works. And it's all set up for us. It's all for us. And the neat thing about that is because we're individualized beings of choice, we get to choose how things manifest through us. It's as we believe. And that can be a lot or a little. It can be Beauty or the Beast, right? It can be any of those things. So 2 of the tools that we teach in the science of mind I want to talk about today. One is visioning. The other is visualization. Visioning is an active listening process where we open to that divine idea of spirit, where we let go of all the things that we know, and through a guided meditative process, we listen for spirit's whisper or intuition of an idea or a thought or a vision of our lives that's that higher ground, that's larger than what we are. Probably something we've not thought about, a way of handling something that we've not considered before. And we know that everything is created twice, yes, once in the invisible, and then through us physically in the visible realm, we see it created. Visioning is a very powerful practice that we use, and if you want to learn more about that, I'm going to invite you to our Wednesday Zoom call on November 3rd, 6 o'clock. I lead the guided visioning. If you've never done visioning before, welcome. We give you all the steps and everything, and then I guide you through it. So it's a very easy process. All you get to do is just be and receive. So it's a wonderful process. But what I really want to talk about today is visualization. I want to talk about visualization. But before I do, I have to tell you that our founder, Ernest Holmes, author of The Science of Mind, the philosophy that we teach from, he pretty much poo-pooed visualization. Okay? He pretty much poo-pooed it. He's got a whole page and a half of definition in the glossary. But at the end of it, he talks about how to do it and what it is and all sorts of things. But at the very end of it, he says, it is good as far as it goes. And there are people for whom this seems an excellent approach. Our only comment about it is that it is a form of limitation. That's a mic drop for Ernest, right? And I think the example that he uses is if we're shopping for new gloves. Ladies wore gloves back in his day, right? And if you're shopping for new gloves and you have a photograph of the pair of gloves that you would like, and you walk into the store and you present it to the clerk and you say, I want these gloves. And they go, oh, we don't carry those. I'm sorry, I don't have them. Done. Well, he says you're not going to see the expanse of the new styles and colors and designs and fabrics and all the things that are available for gloves if you limit it to that one picture. And I understand that. And that part of it I agree with. But I think visioning is more than that. I think it's more than that. And that's what I want to talk to us about today, because our Wallace Wattles book and many other prosperity teachers in particular talk about the power of visualization. So I want to share the other side, if you will. I guess I'm disagreeing with Dr. Ernest Holmes this morning, but sorry, Ernest, wherever you might be. We're going to, but open at the top, right? We're open at the top. So it can be limiting if we limit the outcome to something already in existence, something we already know. Now, there may be times that those are the only gloves you want, right? And they may not have them at Macy's, but they might have them at Dillard's. And that's all you have to do to find them. And that's okay. Sometimes we just need what we need. We want what we want. Would you agree? Yeah. But sometimes there's something bigger wanting to be expressed through us. And sometimes that's what we need to allow to come through. And we can still use the visualization process to do that. The key with visualization is to wrap that vision in our emotions, to wrap it in our emotions. How will I feel when I have what I'm picturing in my mind? And it goes beyond just a picture of the gloves, but how do I feel when I'm wearing the gloves? Oh, they're so soft and so supple, and they're red. They've got to be red. And they keep my hands so warm and toasty, and they protect me from the sun, and they're just fabulous, and they go with my shoes, and I'm going to feel so marvelous when I have these gloves. Or the relationship, or the home, or the health, or the new job, or the new career. How am I going to feel when I have that? What is my life going to be when that happens? That's a key ingredient to our visualization. We can visualize the picture of the car and imagine ourselves in the car, and that's all cool and great. But to really understand, why do I want the car, and how am I going to feel when I have it? When I've had it for 6 months, how am I going to feel? Am I worried about car payments? Am I worried about insurance going up? Am I worried about somebody scratching my car and I've got to park in the back of the parking lot and sideways so nobody touches it? Those are the doubts and the fears we have to deal with as well, right? Most of us get lost in visualization due to the lack of clarity of our vision. Due to the lack of clarity in our vision, we get hooked into what's in front of us. What's in front of us? How's that car going to manifest? I don't know. I don't have the money. I want that house. I really need a new home. I really want a new house. I don't have the down payment. Can't have it, right? Can't have it. Don't have the down payment. Don't know where that's coming from. I can't see how it's done. Well, if you could see how it's done, it'd already be done, wouldn't it? I mean, think about that. When we start limiting ourselves because we don't know how it's going to be done, we might as well quit. Because if we knew, we'd have already done it. That's the beauty of visualization, turning it over to God. Let God work in our lives. Let the infinite work for us, as us. We have to start knowing how we'll feel when the bank account's full. I don't know how to fill it up. If I did, I'd have filled it already, but how will I feel when it does get there? How will I feel when the new house, I'm living in it, entertaining in it, decorating it for the holidays? How will I feel? Is it about security? Is it about vanity? Is it about a better environment for me and for my family? What's it about? Why do you want a new house? Why do you want a new car? Why do you want a new job? Why do you want a new lover? What do you want it? When we get in touch with those feelings and we really know why it is that we want it, how we'll live in it, how we can taste, touch, feel, just the texturalness of it, it's only a matter of time then before it actually shows up physically in our lives. It has to. It has to. That's the system in which we live. It has to show up. There's a little book. I think I saw a copy actually in our lending library. Genevieve Barond wrote this book. She was the only student of Thomas Troward. Judge Thomas Troward was a metaphysician who taught very much about the law. And he had a way of teaching that clarified and helped coalesce everything that Ernest Holmes had been studying. He was a big influence on Holmes for the writing of The Science of Mind. But Genevieve was the only person that he trained personally. He took on no students ever. But through her perseverance, her visualization, she was able to have him train her on this process. And so she wrote a book, Your Invisible Power. And her formula, I want to run through that with us today because it is a powerful formula and it does work. This woman in probably 1922 raised $20,000 to travel to Europe for months to train with Troward before she ever met the man, before he'd ever agreed to take her on as a student. Do you have a little bit of faith? Think about 1922, a woman, ladies, gentlemen, we didn't have the right to vote yet, did we? Raised $20,000. All right, so let's listen to her formula. She says, number one, we have to have a vision. What it is that we truly, truly want. Do you have a clear picture of what it is that you want? Do you have clarity around what you want? This would be nice and that would be nice, and it'd be cool if this happened. But do you have that clear picture of what it is? And think about it daily, not randomly, but powerfully, really focusing on it each and every day. And again, this can be that hardest step because we get distracted. Oh, I had a dream once. I was going to open my own business, but gosh, life caught up with me and I got busy and I got this and that and the other thing happened and haven't thought about that in years. So it's getting distracted from our primary goal and staying in, keeping it in the forefront of our minds. The next step is our desire. And this is the excitement that we feel about our vision, the excitement that we feel about it. And we need to clean up our thoughts of fear around this. Oh gosh, I really, really want that, but I don't know how. I don't know when. I really, really want it, but I've got a little bit of fear around getting it. Rather than the excitement of, anybody gone on vacation before 2 years ago? Do you have a recollection of the excitement that you felt about preparing to go to Hawaii or on a cruise or something really fun? There's an excitement and enthusiasm around that. That's the level of energy that we need to feel around our desire. The next step is belief that it is possible. That one can get us stuck sometimes. Yeah, I want a house. I can visualize a house. I look at the Architectural Digest and I see the houses all the time and they're gorgeous and I visualize living in it. It's just going to be perfect. But that's not possible for me. It's not going to happen. So there's a doubt within us. And doubt within us acts like the Hoover Dam holding back Lake Mead. it can't get through. Our manifestation cannot get through our doubt. So we have to clean that up. We have to believe that it's possible. And this will sometimes show up as our limited view of how it can show up. I don't have the down payment. How can I get a house if I don't have a down payment? How can I go on that trip if I don't have any money in the bank? How can I if I don't? Right? Those are the things that limit us. Then it could be your butt. Not that one. Your yes, but. Your yes, but. I can't see how it's possible. And this is where it's important for us to remember we live in a field of infinite possibilities. Infinite. Infinite. Beyond our conception, beyond our imagination, beyond anything we've ever seen. We live within that. And remembering that with God, all things are possible, even though you don't know how. Because really, that's none of your business. It's none of our business how things are going to manifest, when things are going to manifest. Our business is to know what it is and to have faith that it's there. Again, Southwest Airlines, if they'd have given up in year 3 because the lawsuits were just too hard, they had a vision. They had desire. They believed it was possible. So like our vision, the next step is that we must have intention. We must have intention, which means that we stay focused on our goal. And that's the feeling of the dream. Dr. Wayne Dyer, I think, explained intention very well when he said it is a force in the universe that allows the act of creation to take place. He said intention is not something you do, but an energy you're part of. Now, if we consider that spirit makes things out of itself, because there's only one substance and spirit is that also. So spirit has an intention about something and manifests that of itself. And what Wayne is explaining to us is that because we are beings of that divine essence and presence, we're created of the God stuff, that we also create from our intention. We create from our intention. Pretty powerful stuff when you think about that. The next step is action. And Genevieve says that we act as if. And you may have heard that if you've been around Science of Mind for a while. Sometimes we act as if it's already here, even though it's not. And some people say we're pretending, we're making stuff up, we're Pollyannish, we've got our heads buried in the sand. What else have you heard, right? But the fact is that when we turn our energy away from what we don't want to what we do want, energy goes where our attention is, right? So that's how the process works. So acting as if. An example from my own life, I am planning to remodel my house. It's time. And been talking about it for a while and nothing's happened. And I don't know how it's going to happen, frankly, or when. But I've started getting ready. I've started preparing myself to receive when that is ready to be made manifest through me. I'm looking at colors. I'm thinking about designs. I'm dreaming, visualizing my dream. And what I'm doing is, I don't know what it's going to actually look like. I know what I want. I want a more expansive and open kitchen that is easier for meal prep and gathering of multiple people. Right now it's this little galley. It's about this big. And it's hard for more than one person to be in there. So I want it expanded, and we've got room to expand it. And what is it going to look like? What's it going to feel like when I have all those people there sitting around the end of the bar and being able to talk while we're in there and be together, and the inside and outside, and the beauty of it all, and the warmth and the color and the hardwood floors. And I don't know what it's going to look like yet. I just know the feeling that I want to have once it's done, so that when it comes, I'm not going, oh my gosh, how did that happen? What color do I want? What, oh my, I got to spend another 6 months doing this. I'm ready. I'm ready to receive. That's our work too. We have to be ready to receive our good. The final step in Genevieve's plan is, she calls it allowance, but it's described more as detachment. What? I'm visualizing, I'm making it welcome, I am doing my work, I'm praying, I'm affirming, and you want me to let it go? What does that mean? Well, it's like the final step in our treatment, right? We state our affirmation, we affirm what it is that we are placing our demand into the law about, and then we release it and let it go. Because it's not up to us to do the how, right? It's not up to us on the how. We've said the what, we've said we're ready to receive, and that's our work. She says, let it go. Let it go. Let go and let God. We cannot hold on to how. We cannot hold on to when. We hold on to our faith. We hold on to our faith. Again, a great story of Southwest Airlines. They held on in faith. And they're one of the top airlines in the nation because of that and that achievement through adversity. I want to talk real quickly about a second practice that supports us in taking another view. And that's recognizing how much power our words have. How much power our words have. If we want to transform a problem and take another view, we have to be aware of our words and stop using self-defeating language. Words like trouble. Oh, we got trouble. It's a big trouble. It's a challenge. It's a challenge, right? It's a challenge. Challenges we can overcome. We rise to the challenge. A problem becomes a project. A problem becomes a project. Has a different feeling. Your mind goes to different places when it's thinking you've got a problem versus you've got a project. Project is goal-oriented, right? A crisis becomes an opportunity. Crisis, your hair's on fire and you can't even think. An opportunity is time for creativity, solving. A failure becomes an experience. Edison and the 1,000 ways not to make a light bulb, right? He had an experience of that, not failure. A setback is a setup for our good. Anytime you feel like you've got a setback, something's not going your way, this is a setup for my good. A setup for my good. This is going to be good. And the worse it is, the bigger the good. And if you feel like you've hit the wall, it's just a course correction. Sometimes we have such a desire for a change and so much fear about making it that the universe steps in and says, you won't turn the wheel, I will. If you've ever felt like you've been hit over the head with a 2x4 by the universe, you know what I'm talking about, right? Sometimes we get ahead of ourselves a little bit in what we're willing to receive. So that willingness to receive is a key ingredient on your front end of what? This is what. Am I willing to receive it? All right, let's do this thing, right? That's kind of our questions. So our words have power, and so does our imagination. Those are two powerful things that we possess. When you speak your words, the person or people around you hear them. You're expressing your beliefs. The universe is listening, and you hear yourself. You hear yourself as well. So your words have a lot of power, a lot of weight. So be aware of those. As spiritual beings, we've been given this gift of choice. I don't know about you, but I think that's the most beautiful gift that I could be given, is to be able to choose all that I want to experience in my life, how I want to experience it, what I want to believe. It's a powerful, powerful gift. Science of Mind teaches us how to use this to call in our dreams and desires, those things that are upon our hearts, that is spirit really pushing against us a little bit, saying, hey, let's expand, let's grow. I want to experience this through you, as only you can do me. We choose what we want. we stay focused on that. We want to make sure we know how it's going to feel to receive it. We accept the receiving of it. We release it in faith, knowing that God's got this. And we know that it will be created in the most effective and efficient manner. Because that's how it works. That's how it works. All right, well, let's take a look at some practicing the principles and see how we might take some of this home with us this week. Think about pivoting on adversity. When we've got adversity, rather than going into our same response, pivot, much like most of us had to do in 2020, pivot through that adversity. Mindful Monday is the newsletter that I send out on Monday mornings. That's a summary of the talk, the spiritual practices, so that you can use these in your life throughout the week and apply Science of Mind principles in your life. And that's, to me, why I'm in this teaching, is that we get to practice it and it works in our lives. Our first one, I've only got 3 for us today. Our first one is watch your mouth. This week, pay close attention to your words, particularly when facing something troublesome, something that's jostled you a little bit, something that's inconvenienced you a bit. Pay attention to your words. Pay attention to your thoughts. What are those words and thoughts that you have? Reframe the words. Reframe the situation from problem to taking another view. How can I look at this differently? How could this be for me? How could this be for me? As a step in my good arriving to me. Our reading this morning in the Science of Mind magazine was really good. It's written by Ernest Holmes in 1957. And in it, he talks about how we can accept divine action and knowing that all is working on our behalf, because that's the way Spirit works. And it may be that events and circumstances and people and places and things need to be happening all around the world in order that your desire can come through you. It's not usually just coming to and through you individually. There's usually a lot of others involved in it. And so when we can have that patience to recognize that it's all working in divine order, I'm just waiting to see it. Just waiting to see it. So watch your mouth and reframe the words. Number 2, bless their hearts. Not that Southern thing. Whenever you're challenged by someone or something this week, pause and recognize they are nudging you to your greater good. I'm getting a lot of nudging right now. Y'all know about that employee stuff I've been dealing with? I'm getting a lot of nudging right now, so this is good. They are God in action in your life. And that has been a perspective that has really hit home for me lately. That the more that I pay attention to people in conversations, either directed at me or ones that I happen to be in, the more that I believe that we are all God expressing to each other, carrying messages and wisdom and unique thoughts and transformative thoughts. Something that I was working on, A over here, and somebody said something about B, and I went, oh my gosh, that's totally related. And I hadn't even put those 2 things together. Those are the sorts of things that we pay attention to, that are serendipitous things, that God is in action in our lives through each of us. Through each of us. We are all Spirit in action. So this week, let's practice being grateful for the gifts that challenge us to grow and expand, to receive our good. Be grateful. Bless them. Number 3, see it when you believe it. And that's a Wayne Dyer book title, of course, but it's also a universal truth. Many times we get it backwards. I believe it when I see it. Right? I'll believe it when I see it. Wayne's idea was, you believe it, you've got to see it. So bringing your desire vividly into your mind through visualization, imagine yourself living in your desire. The money, the health, the lover, the car, the peace, the harmony, the health, new creative expression. How do you feel now that that is happening? Mary Morrissey in her Prosperity Plus had a great line where she says, I'm so happy and grateful now that. I'm so happy and grateful now that. And that really resonated with me. I took that course probably 12 years ago, and it stuck with me. And I use that when I'm moving myself to a higher level of awareness, a higher level of consciousness, something that's not here yet. I'm so happy and grateful now that my home is remodeled. I'm on the other side of the dust and the dirt, and it's beautiful, right? I'm so happy and grateful now that my perfect health is revealed. I'm so happy and grateful now that my perfect abundance is revealed. I'm so happy and grateful now that my perfect life has unfolded. Using Genevieve's 6 steps this week, we can call in and visualize our dream. And remember, of course, that setbacks are setups for your good. Setbacks are setups. That's important for us to remember. That way we don't get stuck in the setback, and we can take the expansion of the setup. So let's close with a quote from Friedrich Nietzsche, who said, "That which does not kill me makes me stronger." Did you know that's where that came from? Yeah. So let's anchor this in prayer this morning. If you would join me, please. Recognizing that there is God and nothing else. The one, power, presence, life. God is all that there is. It is the infinite source. It is the presence and the essence. It is life living through its creation. It is love and harmony, joy and peace, intelligence and wisdom, abundance and health, prosperity, joy. And all of that is here now, present in, through, and as each one of us that is gathered here today, online, and listening later. For we know that we are unified in the wholeness of the one, created of the one substance, the one source, manifestations of the divine, children of God. And that we are unified and connected in this wholeness, irrespective of physicality or distance. We are one. And so knowing this, I speak my word for and about each of us, knowing, claiming, and accepting that the vision in our hearts is made manifest through us, whatever that vision may be, that higher vision, that highest vision of our life unfolding as the God life within us, as a spark of the divine intelligence and infinite wisdom that we have come here to express more and more of, to illuminate the fire within us. I know that as each of us takes these practices and applies them in our lives, that our lives are expanded, and that troubles become challenges and problems become opportunities. As we know the powerful shift in our consciousness to this affirmative living, to this knowledge that God is good and God is for us and the universe is here to serve us. And as we said last week, the universe wants us to have more than we're willing to receive. We open that receptive channel. We hold up our bowl of acceptance and our chalice of expectancy. I know for anyone that has anything on their heart today, whether it's healing or revelation, clarity, prosperity, career, creative expression, relationship, whatever it might be, as they bring that to the forefront of their minds in this moment, we join them in the consciousness of this prayer, knowing that the divine wisdom of God is revealed through them now for the perfect expression of the wholeness that they are already, revealed as healing and clarity and creative expression and abundance and perfect right relationship and so much love. And so I joyfully, thankfully, gleefully accept this, knowing that it is already done. For the word spoken is the word made manifest. And we know, claim, and affirm this today by saying, and so it is.